Hello, my friends. Good afternoon, or whatever time of day it is for you. I'm Annalisa, and it's time for me to take my spiritual pulse. And I thought that you might like to join me. I'm here on the banks of the Bow River in one of my favorite little spots, an enchanted little forest. And I invite you just to find stillness wherever you are. Perhaps you've decided to step outside. You've got some green space nearby or a favorite plant or tree. I invite you, if you're able to just get outside for this 15-minute guided practice. And I'll be sharing a passage from my dear soul companion, Mark Nepo, and his little book of Awakening. So there's a lot of wind happening around me. You might hear it. You might hear voices. We've got weather coming in and out. But I think it's just a beautiful reminder that, our lives are full of change. Emotions come and go. Things happen. Unexpected things happen. And we live in really quite turbulent times where there's been a lot of change. And perhaps you personally have been affected, as I have been. But one practice that helps me to stay grounded, helps me to reconnect to that infinite voice of wisdom, of knowledge, the voice of God, whatever you want to call it, is through taking my spiritual pulse, which is just a way of saying checking in with myself. And so I like to use this book of Awakening because it has simple, short passages, reflective questions, and to just amp it up even more so. I love to do this in nature because nature is really the therapist, and nature is that portal to that voice, to the divine. And so, my friends, wherever you are, thank you again for joining me on this soulful adventure. Take a few deep cleansing breaths as you settle yourself into this very moment of now, the only moment we have. That beautiful breath anchoring you no matter what's happening. So notice the sights, the sounds, the sensations, the scents around you, but bring yourself to this here and now. As you feel into your body, from the crown of your head all the way to the soles of your feet. Releasing whatever you're carrying. Thoughts, fears, anxieties, to-do lists, that noise that's out there. And so my intention, my friends, for this practice is that you may awaken to that beautiful voice within you. And that you may ask with compassion, with non-judgment, what is life telling me now? Perhaps you will be inspired by something that you hear or a deep sensation that you feel. And that with that, you will take inspired action, however that looks for you. And maybe that's just continuing to sit in reflection, doing some journaling. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who you've wanted to connect with, whatever that is. Awaken, ask, act. And I invite you to set your own intention, because I believe that the energy we share, it has a ripple effect, not only impacting our lives, but out there. And a few more breaths, feeling that spaciousness within you, within that heart center, as I share a passage entitled Nicodemus and the Truth. How can one be born again? That's a question Nicodemus posed to Jesus. I often think of Nicodemus, the one Pharisee who secretly believed in Jesus and who would meet him anonymously at night to have deep spiritual conversations, but who would never acknowledge his questions of spirit or his association with Jesus in the light of day. Of course, this did nothing to the essence of Jesus, but traumatically thwarted and plagued Nicodemus for the rest of his days. This story shows us the quiet pain that comes from not honoring what we know to be true, even if all we know to be true are the questions we are asking. It is even more useful for us to realize that we each carry a Jesus and a Nicodemus within us. That is, we each have a divine inner voice that opens us to truth and a mediating social voice that is reluctant to show its truth to others. The famous British child psychologist D.W. Winnicott called these aspects of our personality the true self and the false self. It is the true self that lets us know what is authentic and what has become artificial, while the false self is a diplomat of distrust, enforcing a lifestyle of guardedness, secrecy, and complaint. In everyday terms, this means that each time we experience a change in reality as we know it, we must choose whether to declare or to hide what we know to be true. At such moments, we either need to bring the way we have been living in accord with that shift of reality, or we need to resist the change. Thus, in daily ways, whether we live in our true or false self depends on our willingness to stay real. And so, over time, staying real becomes the work of keeping our actions in the world connected to the truth of our inner being, allowing our true self to see the light of day. Very often, we continue, out of habit or fear, to behave in old ways, even though we know the way of things has changed. Time and time again, I have found myself at this crucial juncture, having to admit that what was essential is no longer, and then needing to summon the courage to make the act of living essential again. I know that every time I hear or see the truth, but hold on to the old way of being or thinking or relating, I am giving my life over to the Nicodemus in me. And in doing so, I embark on a divided life, in which I listen to the divine inner voice secretly at night, but deny it day after day. But this moment of inner embarrassment, when we catch ourselves in the act of split living, is also the recurring chance for us to honor once again what we know to be true. For anyone, no matter how wounded or distressed, can, in a moment of truth, let the God within them show itself out here in the world. However small or fleeting, this one repeatable act can restore our common and vital sense of being alive. And so, my friends, my soul family, breathing in to this moment, letting the message flow through your body, as is that beautiful breath, creating space. I invite you to consider the last time you felt a moment of inner embarrassment. That is, the last time you realized what you were doing was no longer authentic, but you kept doing it anyway. Be kind, be gentle with yourself as that thought comes to mind, and perhaps the emotion around that. And if you can, I invite you to consider what made you keep doing what you knew to be untrue. What were you perhaps afraid of happening if you honored the truth as you felt it? Consider if a similar situation were to happen this evening or tomorrow, how might you act differently? Allow your breath to continue to keep you in this moment as you consider these questions from a place of loving kindness towards yourself. And if you can, don't blame yourself for for struggling, like Nicodemus. Rather, comfort the Nicodemus in you. Reminding yourself that it is safe to honor what is and what you know to be the light of day within you. For in the moment of inner embarrassment, which we all feel, when we catch ourselves in the act of split living, it is also the recurring chance for us to honor once again what we know to be true. And as you transition back to the space you're in, your awareness to sights, sounds around you grows, but that inner sanctuary that you've created, it travels with you. Wherever your next step leads you. And may that vital sense of being alive carry you as it is carrying me, and that energy having a ripple effect in our world. I thank you with all my heart for joining me on this soulful adventure, for joining all of us, our friends. Until next time, I wish you a beautiful, blessed day.